Well, we've reached the point where I've done as much as can be done in the excavation of this ditch. You'll remember yesterday those darker silts that we talked about, that sort of 30 centimetre swathe of undisturbed silting in the ditch. I was able to remove that today, and I think you can probably see it in the section in the lower part of that vertical scale. The point of that scale is actually sitting on the natural, so I've come down 2 natural gravels. So that's actually the base of the ditch, and you can see, I hope, in the section, sort of trace it here, you can see the line of the ditch coming down like this, and then that darker fill, which is just the initial silting there before we go into stuff that's been disturbed by the pouring of this concrete beam. It shows up really nicely right now, the contrast in the colours of the layers of the fill of the ditch. There was some charcoal, again, retrieved from that dark silt. I'm not confident that it's going to be of sufficient quality to get a date from, but it's a possibility. It would be lovely to get a date for that initial silting, but there's been so much disturbance in here from the digging of the slot for the concrete. There's also been a few tips and spills of just detritus from the 20th century, so it's made it quite a mess in here. But I would count it as a partial success, at least, to see the profile of the ditch in this small bit. We know it comes in quite steeply to a very sharp point and then tends to rise again. So you can see, hopefully, you can see just about here we're still in natural. So the curve of the ditch coming down like this and then rising quite steeply. There's good natural, and then we're into the disturbance. That line right there is the disturbance for concrete. Now, if it wasn't for roots and a lot of other issues, we might have excavated on the other side of the concrete just to pick the angle of that ditch up. But I think overall we've learnt about as much as we can from this, and we've been really fortunate in finding bits and pieces of dating evidence and getting a good, at least partial profile. Well, once again, wrapping up for the excavation today, just taking some final record shots of the stratigraphy of that rampart, and again, not the best lighting for the video camera. Thankfully the still shots have come out a bit better, but you can see the layers of gravel that have made up the earthwork. And if we go down to the base, and I've dug a little sondage just to be sure we're in proper natural, you can see that it's a very sterile clay gravelly mix. But all the digging is done, and we've begun to do the actual recording of some of the key measurements. What you see next to me here is called a dumpy level. It's just very simply a way of finding out the depth of certain elements of the features relative to a known point. So we have a known benchmark that we know what its elevation is above ordnance datum or above sea level. We take that and we use this level to then get a relative measurement for the depths of all the interventions into the ground. The bottom of the ditch, the top of the concrete beam, the ground surface. All these measurements help us write a detailed plan showing the contours of the site. So once that is done, the next step is to draw the sections, those vertical faces that we've been talking about where we can see all the soil changes, the stratigraphy. So those will all be drawn at a 1:20 scale, and then once that is complete, we can start putting the soil back in. So still on schedule, it's not quite midday. The drawing shouldn't take too long, and then by the afternoon we'll be putting some of that soil back in. I've been really lucky in that one of the rangers here, Chris, has volunteered to help out a bit. So as you can imagine, I can't read the dumpy level and hold the staff at the same time. So Chris helped out with that, and he'll be helping with the backfill as well. So we should get it all done today. light is just about gone, but that's the backfill in, the leaves scattered over the top, and it almost looks like we were never here. The site has been excavated, recorded, measured, drawn, and now backfilled, and we've put it back to bed. It's been a very generous site. We've got dating evidence for what we'd hoped to find. It hasn't been exceptionally generous by way of really exciting artefacts, but in many ways I think the information we're going to get and the story we can build around that information is a bit more precious than gold. It's been a fantastic experience to dig in this beautiful site and to be able to share and communicate the enthusiasm about archaeology and the past with all the people that have come by. It's been a very, very busy site. The first day, 50 visitors, ramping up to almost 120 visitors a day up until the end of the dig. I think one of the best parts of the dig has just been talking to all the people that have come to visit. There have been well over 500 people over the course of the week who have come by to learn about archaeology in general and the hill fort in specific. Young people with great questions, older people who remembered the site even when it was in use in World War II. A fantastic gentleman who told a story about being a small boy in 1943 and sneaking under the defences and being given Mars chocolate bars by some of the soldiers. It's just fantastic to have that sort of social history, adding a dimension to the dig and breathing some life into things like the concrete ruins. It's been amazing to be able to communicate archaeology and the history of this site, not only to all the visitors that came, but to everyone who's watching the YouTube channel, to be able to share this particular site and its excavation with a wide range of people, hopefully getting them as excited and enthused about hill forts and archaeology as I am. If you were interested in this sort of thing, if you want to know more, the report will be available, but it's going to take an awful long time. There's probably about a 6-month wait on radiocarbon dates. But as soon as the report is written and as soon as I have more information about the site, I'll make a video and put that up here. But you could also visit the Chilterns Conservation Board website. So if you go to chilternsaonb.org, and I'll put it in the description below, go visit the site, learn about the project, sign up for our newsletter. You'll be amongst the first to know the next time we're going to do something like this. We're planning to do some community excavation, so that's an open trench where you need no experience. Show up and we'll teach you how to dig. We're hoping to run some of those in the late spring and early summer of next year. But go to the website, learn about the project, see our LiDAR. We've got fantastic LiDAR, and if you don't know what that is, you're in for a treat. That's all there is. Thank you very much. In the Iron Age ditch.